the Sword of Mercury, and today I am going to be teaching you about the timeline. This is something that you're going to want to watch until the very end, especially if you want to know how to rewrite reality. So, I think it's no secret that we all live in essentially what can be known as the Matrix, or a system which is configured around us based on the general population of society not having a complete understanding of the way that the natural world works in terms of its laws, and the higher parts of society taking advantage of that. And I'm here to set you free, so you may rewrite reality in whichever way you see fit. And I'll teach you how time travel is possible, and how you have access to that ability at any time, at every moment in time. So, I guess some of today, what we will be talking about today, can be related to Back to the Future almost, or Back to the Future 2, where you produce an alternate timeline. But if the powers of this world, and I'm referring to the corrupt powers of this world, the evil in this world, which is referred to in the Bible, is going to corrupt the timeline, then we might as well use that same ability ourselves and fix things to the way they're supposed to be. So, I'm going to teach you today how you are the time drive, and how essentially this is the world you created. So, here is where we are in the timeline. You can think of this as the original timeline. So, we all start from the origin point in time in which you essentially create a deviation from through some means, whether that is going into a higher dimension of reality, which is unable to be accessed physically through the dimensions that we can interact with, that being the 4 dimensions, 3 of space and 1 of time. Because as physics would tell us, there is 11 dimensions, possibly even up to 13, and any dimensions beyond that become unstable, and they will shrink down to either a 13 or 11 dimensional universe. Typically it's 11 dimensions. Anyway, I digress. Back to explaining how we create this deviation in the first place. The thing that allows for time travel in the first place, it would be the presence of what they would refer to in physics as a tachyon, also known as a superluminal particle. That being a particle that can travel faster than the speed of light, thus breaking the space-time barrier and creating a bend or a curvature or warping in which one can tunnel through the timeline, through the space-time continuum. However, I do not believe that it is indeed possible for tachyons to exist in the physical world by the nature of them, such as they are a superluminal particle, meaning that anything faster than light would instantaneously be removed from this reality as quickly as it popped into existence. So, that being said, we do have something that can replace that, a gravitational mechanism, gravitational time drive, which is one that we have access to anywhere in the cosmos, and that being the supermassive black hole at the center of all galaxies. And this acts as the gravitational time drive, a singularity, a force that can absorb light and redshift it infinitely, so that light cannot escape that energy field, and that's why it appears black as light cannot escape what passes over the event horizon since the gravitational field is so strong. But as we know, massive objects, as we know from Einstein, E equals mc squared, mass and energy and the speed of light are all interconnected. So, that being said, mass is transferable to energy and light. So, instead of having something that can break the speed of light or overcome the speed of light by surpassing it, we have something that can do that through pure mass alone, which is a singularity, a point of infinite density, in which gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. This is the focal point for all time travel in the cosmos. And we move in relativity to these objects in the cosmos, and they become the focal point of energy, which creates the fundamental basis of reality. Moving on, instead of anything else, this acts as the superluminal time drive that we need to accomplish time travel. That is the mechanism of the driving force that propels time travel. That being said, how do we plan out where we want to go? We need a map or a way to read the cosmic flow of energy. That is the soul, which has access to all the dimensions all around us through our state of consciousness, our state of awareness, and whether we can vibrate at a frequency which matches that which we are aligning with. And that is what I have created here, what I have invented: special space-time geometry. Special space-time geometry. Special space-time geometry. Special space-time geometry is the shape in which the soul takes on to manifest the energy matrix to propel or direct the energy in a specific way so that it can be utilized for whatever purpose that the consciousness requires, in this case, ensuring that the timeline is malleable. This is the auric or magnetic field or bioelectric field that surrounds a body. This is what connects to the roadmap of the soul and propels where the journey is taking you. So while this is the energy source that propels you there, this is the time drive, this is the map, or the motive force. You could call it almost the motive force of the soul that will propel you through the dimensions using this force of energy, because this is essentially warping all of reality as we know it. So the sun is warping the amount of space-time, the flow of space-time in the solar system, but this is warping the flow of space-time in the whole galaxy. This is what connects us back to the source. So all we need to do is give it the right fuel, visualization being the destination or where you want to go, the intention being actually we'll get to the emotion first. The emotion is the fuel, the driving emotion that makes you feel connected to that reality, whatever it is. Love, serenity, peace, freedom, whatever. That is the force. Intention is the combination of those two things combined within the soul. And when that happens, you have this phenomenon over here, which quantum physics would describe as the wave function collapse. And that is the transformation of the particle collapsing back into the wave function. Wave function collapse, essentially what that means, for any of you who don't know, it's the concept that energy can be expressed, or rather light can be expressed, which is a construct of all our reality or anything here in the physical. Light is it's based off light. It's that a particle of light, which is called a photon physics, can either be expressed as a particle or wave, and that's called wave-particle duality. And it essentially means that when somebody is observing the particle, when awareness or consciousness is focused on it in the quantum field, it is expressed as a particle. But when no one is observing it, when it is independent from every other act of consciousness and creation, transforms back into the wave function. Hence the name wave function collapse. So this is almost the time displacement fuel, the emotional aspect, which is essentially what encompasses the energy necessary to take that leap of time travel. So it's not essentially like you just open up a wormhole and walk through it. It's more as in you are the wormhole. You become the mechanism for time travel. And the reason why this is so fundamental for you to know, and the reason why I am here to give you all this information that you need to fulfill your destiny, is because the powers, the evil over this world, will use all of this temporal knowledge to ensure that they can stay in the power or states of power that they wish to be in. However, it's my duty to make sure that you know that this is your birthright. This is your destiny to utilize this knowledge for the purpose of fulfilling what you came here to do. So if you are awakened enough to find this video and put the pieces together of what this means, and the physics and metaphysics and spirituality of what all this means, and your ability to exercise your consciousness to its fullest potential, you can alter the time stream. So that is essentially the main point of today's video, that you have this ability to. A magnetic field is something that is created by an electric field in motion. And a moving electric field creates a magnetic field, and a moving magnetic field creates an electric field. That oscillation creates what is known as electromagnetic radiation, also known as light. And considering that your body generates an electromagnetic field, that ability of temporal manipulation is always available to you. So this is what I'm telling you. You are the time drive. You are the time drive. You are the time drive, and the timeline is malleable. We're gonna need some tea here for this heavy topic. Tap, 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 tap. This is what the 21st century has come to. Someone explaining the most fundamental and important rules of reality through ASMR and tapping on a tea mug as they do it, while the viewership is lulled off to sleep into a state where they can actualize to their fullest potential and fulfill all of this, because it is your destiny. Staying stuck here in this physical reality, the one-dimensional reality that most people are tethered to, it is not your destiny. So I am here to ensure that you fulfill your destiny. That is my mission here. So that's why I always encourage you to like, subscribe, and help support the channel, because it helps me help you to actualize to your fullest potential. My fullest potential is outlining all of this, putting all of this together, so that when you have this knowledge, you can use it as you see fit. Use it to overthrow those who would use their power to disrupt others. use it to rebuke them. The Lord rebuke them and send that back to where it came from. So, that is exactly what I'm here to do. Some people might be watching this like, what is this guy crazy? But physics would tell you that all of this is indeed correct. The sad part is that they just haven't put it together yet. The reason why is because it takes so many disciplines of information to put all this together. It takes understanding neuroscience and the functionality of consciousness. It takes the functionality of physics, the mechanics of time travel or vibrational resonance. It takes understanding the quantum field of wave function collapse and wave particle duality. It takes understanding the fundamental aspect of a singularity, the fundamental aspect of a soul, a force that can channel that energy. So, there's a lot that goes into understanding all these concepts. And now what I've just created, special space-time geometry, and just for any of the people watching who may be wanting to use this for purposes that are less than honorable, or to steal this information away, especially what I have constructed here for you, just know that from the moment this concept was created, it was meant to have a magical essence around it that will afflict, let's just say, anybody who would dare attempt to use it for less than honorable purposes of self-actualization. So, if you think that you're going to run away with this, steal the information I've given you to afflict others or bring about some aspect of physics or scientific achievement that would steal these ideas away from the information that it belongs to with the public, then just know that as much as this is going to aid you, there is going to be a significant, should we say, karmic debt in place for you of using this. I provide this knowledge to the viewership on the soul, fundamental nature, that it helps them obtain their fullest point of self-actualization and nothing else. So, use this as you will to manipulate the timeline as you see fit, but just remember that the temporal dynamics are meant to only actualize the self, and the cosmos has supported that. Evidently, that is the nature of the soul, that it is based off self-actualization, and no one can alter the fundamental nature of that. Let me drink some tea. This is pretty heavy even for me. Tap 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 tap. But that's why in previous episode I just uploaded around brain waves. I talk about the different brain waves and their functionality, because consciousness is what is the factor that is going to take you from point A to wherever you want in the timeline. So, again, point A, point B, alternate timeline. So, and this again relates to almost karma. You think about it, anything that took place in your life that ends up being a focal or central point of your belief system. Think of it, anything that has occurred in your lifetime to get you to believe something in a certain way of viewing the world occurred at a certain point of time, in a certain point in time, at a certain point in time, whatever, at a certain point in time. At a certain point in time, you decided to view the world in a specific way, and by allowing your consciousness to travel back through the time stream to that moment and undo what has been done my destiny is to ensure that all of us actualize to our fullest potential, and that means that we have complete control over our state of being, or our state of self, and can actualize our soul, therefore connecting with the desired timeline and being able to connect this reality to infinite realities. And when you do that, the timeline becomes malleable. But you also must realize that it is not the timeline that bends, but your own consciousness that bends. So, just keep in mind that regardless of all this information and knowledge being at your possession, and ability being at your possession, time travel is still fraught with danger, and you must ensure that any deviations to the timeline are very precisely calculated. So, always act with awareness, consciousness, as I always say, as I encourage you guys to always do. And I provide you all of this knowledge with the aim that this helps you achieve to your highest potential. So, to just give you more of ASMR as we sum up here, just remember that the timeline is malleable. And to accomplish this, you can do things like access the brainwave states and leverage them to your ability to manipulate the timeline, manipulate the outcome of the timeline. So while you're relaxing right now, as you listen to my voice and listen to me explain time travel, or rather time jumping, or jumping throughout time, just remember that the timeline, the timeline, the timeline, the timeline, the timeline, the timeline, the timeline is malleable. The timeline is malleable. The timeline is malleable. The timeline is malleable. Look at this fluffy gofo. Just chilling here. Got this nice fluffy mic cover. So, as long as I'm here, I'm going to do everything in my ability to ensure that we all have our powers to actualize our fullest potential. And I am not leaving anyone else to die. We're all on this ride together. Brothers and sisters, you must remember who we are, remember our fullest potential, and only when you have that ability of discernment and the ability to actualize yourself and express your own individuality. That's an important word, especially when we talk about a concept like time travel. Individuality. If you have not made certain who you are as an individual, or at least get a fundamental idea of your individuality, then you will not be able to time travel. You will not be able to protect yourself psychically. You will not be able to psychically shield yourself against those who would manipulate the timeline, so that you would never find this ability in the first place. If you have found this video and you understand what I'm talking about here, then it is because your soul is very strong and was destined to find this and utilize this information. It was destined to actualize yourself. You're destined for actualization. You're destined to rewrite time and rewrite reality, so that you can have what is aligned with your destiny and fulfill your true purpose. So, once you do that, no one can touch you. You essentially become at a level where reality will flow and change around you in ways that you never thought possible. watch till the end because you want to figure out the secrets of time travel, I challenge you to give this a try. Just try applying some of these things in which I'm talking about. Try applying this to your mentality, this information. Simply apply it to your mentality. And as you go off to sleep, sleep with the notion that you have the ability to time travel and travel across all the timelines. Because essentially, what happens is any significant change in history produces a separate timeline, an alternate reality. And it is possible to affect the flow of time in a way that creates a parallel stream. And in doing so, the timeline becomes malleable, and you can get that which is destined for you. So, just know that the cosmos has not abandoned you. The higher forces of this world have not abandoned you. That's why they have sent me here with the message. All of this is your birthright. So take it and use it to actualize yourself to your fullest potential. Some of you may think I'm crazy, but oh well, if that's the case, then it's possible that this was not destined for you. However, if you found this video and all this physics makes sense to you, then perhaps you're right where you need to be, right where you're supposed to be, absorbing all this information into your consciousness and utilizing it to its fullest potential so you can actualize to your fullest potential. And remember that the timeline is malleable. 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 I hope this has been very insightful and beneficial for you in the way that is going to increase your productivity and let you know that that which you have in your heart cannot be lost, because it is within your heart, it is within your soul. And when you become a reflection of what is in your heart, nothing can penetrate that. Nothing can ever oppose that force, because you can only become a reflection of what is in your heart. So, if you know and understand and realize that all of this is the world that you created, then you simply have the ability to get back to where you're supposed to be. And I guess you'll find out where that is soon, as will we all, and find a way to alter the time stream so you can actualize yourself. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a very deep topic. Let me know if you like this length of ASMR for videos, or you prefer something a bit shorter, such as something maybe 7 minutes long, or maybe 15 minutes long, or 20 minutes long. We're at about 30 minutes right now, and yes, time travel is a bit more of a complex topic, especially when we talk about all these various factors: neuroscience, physics, spirituality, understanding the mechanics of the cosmos, in which even science is not fully outlined. is expressed and the multiverse, seeing as all these different timelines coexist with one another at the same point in time and branch off from each other. So, just remember that everything is connected, just like the web or a web. Everything is connected through energy, and if you can sense the flow and ebb of that energy, get ready. Here it comes. So, again, this is the Sword of Mercury, brought to you by the Prince of Mercury. Prince of Mercury is here to bring you all this information, and in so doing, assisting you to realign with your fullest potential. So, I hope you have found this very insightful and helpful in your journey, the exploration of the cosmos and the exploration of reality, or should I say realities. And I think that covers all of it. Let me know what topics you would like to see in the future concerning stuff like this, these concepts that are within our reach. Though sometimes they may not be physically tangible, they might seem unobtainable. I assure you that is not the case. They are just as attainable as picking up and moving what is right in front of you, if not more. So, just as you go to sleep every night, it is within your reach and within your grasp to reach out and restore the timeline to the way it's supposed to be. So this is what it is. Perhaps you are not altering the timeline, but perhaps this is your mission to restore the timeline to the way it's supposed to be. Remember, your destiny is to be a being who is fully conscious, fully aware, able to actualize themselves to the highest potential. And when it is anything but that, you must remember that it is not your destiny. So, again, I hope you've enjoyed this right here in the Sword of Mercury, brought to you by the Prince of Mercury. Check out my podcast, Moonstruck, in which I talk about these topics more in depth and go into explaining them over the course of probably an hour. So, again, if you have found this insightful or helpful in any way, please like, subscribe, and help support the channel so I can continue to bring you more content like this. Again, this is the Sword of Mercury, brought to you by the Prince of Mercury and the Prince of all Mercurians. I'll see you next time. Until then,